Today it's Elmhurst, Illinois. Back to Elmhurst. We're at Mount Emblem. Right nearby here is the Elm Lawn Cemetery, where we are looking for Daniel Seifert, who was killed by Joe Lombardo and crew back in 1974, and we are in. Viviana Garcia, 34 years old when she passed. Viviana died in a car accident. I don't know how it happened or what happened, but I did find that out. Some beautiful grass planted here. Remembered by many. Charles J Jankovic, our Charlie. Little Charlie was born August 6, 1963, and he passed away 4 or 5 months later only. January 17th, 1964. Now I lay me down to sleep. Now this is a prayer that my parents, I would say when I was little, and when little Charles died, I was 5 years old. It just so happens my cousin Ricky, who was my same age, died at the same time. I don't know what his date was, but the prayer, now I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And if I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take, was the prayer that I used to say before I go to sleep every night. It's the first time I've seen those words anywhere. Rest in peace, little Charles. Here's a beautiful carving of the Last Supper. Muniz family. Edwin A, he died in 2018. And it looks like he was in the Marines or the Navy. I think that looks Marines. And he had 2 kids, Jeremiah and Jessica, and a beautiful wife, Carmen. Carmen is still alive. I mean, you talk about lost to history. I mean, this is the definition of Faces of the Forgotten. You've got this really intriguing bench. This had to be made in the I'm going to say the mid 1800s. There's something here. You've got these 2 names, De Vleeschower and Meyer, and that's it. And there has to be a story that goes with this. I mean, this doesn't just pop up and no nonsense, 1800s, you're just going to put this fancy custom bench and a big, beautiful, I mean, at the time, look at this, and just nothing. Like, you talk about lost to history, there looks like there was some, this was the back, so it had you know what? This is the back of the bench that fell off, and it's just laid to rest here. That's what's going on. But there's no graves for these people. Well, there's no monuments for these people. So anyway, it'll be a mystery forever. Definitely faces of the forgotten. Who was Daniel Seifert? Well, Daniel Seifert was a young guy who was a stand-up, legit guy in Bensenville area, and he got married, and he was an entrepreneurial type of guy and had some great ideas and innovations. He was working as an assistant carpenter, and he was on the job of a guy named Edwin Weiner, who was a big mob guy. Irwin's dad was a bookmaker who was shot, killed. Anyway, he was listening to, I guess Daniel was making some fiberglass molds and products in his garage, and he was selling them for a lot of money, and Irwin was intrigued. So Irwin said, listen, I'll get some guys, we'll start your company, and I'll give you the seed money. So Irwin invested, and Irwin invested a third, and he got a guy named Milwaukee Phil Aldericio, who turned out to be, he was the mob boss. He was top boss. So we had Aldericio, Milwaukee Phil, Edwin Weiner, and they started this business, and the business became very successful. And a few years later, Irwin, I think this was it all started in 1967. And then Irwin's like, I'm out, I'm going to sell my share to some associates, quote unquote associates. Well, that's where things really were not good. Those associates included Joey Lombardo, Frank Schweiz, Anthony Spilatro, and not good. And I guess Joey Lombardo in particular got really close with the family, and they even named a son after him. Yeah, I think it was Joe and Nick. Anyway, Joe Lombardo was his idol, and Joe Lombardo everyone knows who he is, the clown. He would hang out at the house, and he'd hang out at the office of this company. This company turned into an International Plastics, it was called, and they were doing really well. And Lombardo was on the payroll, and he would just come out and hang around and not do anything, goof around. But the whole thing was a money laundering excuse for Lombardo, who was key in the Teamster money laundering, all that whole fraud, using the Teamster money, embezzling. Wasn't even using, I know the Teamsters and Dorfman and the Vegas, and they were getting loans, but I mean Lombardo was embezzling from them. Like, it doesn't get much worse. Anyway, they were, it was getting worse and worse, and finally Daniel had enough. So, again, a legit thing. He sold his shares, or he moved his operation. He's like, I want to get away from these guys. He thought he got away from them, but then the FBI started calling, and here his grave is, Daniel's grave is right over here. And this tree, I read that his son had said Daniel was killed in 1974, and this tree was just a sapling then when he was buried. Can you imagine? Look at the size of this thing. It's massive. So the FBI came calling, and Daniel said, "Yeah, I will help you take these guys down. They're bad guys." And he was a legit guy. Here's looks like the family's been here. I understand that Emma, his wife, many years ago, she buried a book here, a book that was very favorable to Daniel by an author, to try to put this all behind her. And that's too bad. I wish I had something to wash that with. Anyway, so getting back to the story, what happened. Daniel was going to be a government witness. The mob found out about it, and there was and Joe Lombardo was going by their house, driving up front. There's even an occurrence, he was with Schweiz or somebody. He was with somebody else, just trying to intimidate, but not going in, just creepy. And he, I think it was one of the sons, Nick, I don't know which I can't remember which son, but the son that was closest to him and idolized him, he said, "Uncle Joe, are you coming?" He said, "Yeah, I'm going to see your dad in a minute." And he never came in. So when he came in the house, he said, "Uncle Joe's outside." And that really freaked the whole family out. So they're doing that kind of stuff. And when Dan became a government witness, they were trying to protect him. They were guarding him, but he went to his factory. The littlest guy, who was, I think, 4 years old, went with mom and dad to their factory first thing in the morning. And two masked men, of course, one was Joe Lombardo, burst in the back door, threw mom and the little boy into the bathroom. One held them at gunpoint, which I think was Joe, because Emma recognized his build, his stature, the way he handled himself, and maybe even his voice. And while they were held hostage in with literally a gun to her temple, Daniel, they heard one shot, and then the two guys ran off, and they came out, and he was shot in the head, I believe, and but he was running, and she opened the door to the parking lot, and there was a guy with a double-barrel sawed-off shotgun right there, aimed it at her to back her off, and she saw Daniel running to the other corner of the parking lot, the other building, the outbuilding, and the guy with the shotgun just mercilessly gunned him down. And the little boy even remembered the blood, all the blood in the grass. He remembered the green grass and the red blood. I mean, can you imagine? That was the quote from the little boy. So really a sad story here, but Joe Lombardo finally got his. He got convicted later. Emma and they were at the trial. She testified. She helped bring him down, and the boys avenged their father also. In the process, they all helped get Joe Lombardo. Joe Lombardo played, he's called the clown. He played like he was mentally retarded, wheelchair, cane. They all do that kind of stuff, these cowards. He ended up getting sentenced for the rest of his life to Florence Supermax, and he died there at the age of 90, so don't rest his soul. But for Daniel and family, Mom Emma buried a book here. I don't know if it's still here, but she buried a book wrapped in plastic, and anyway, I can see that they come here a lot. Daniel is not forgotten. Probably not forgotten by many. He was a good guy. So, Daniel, rest in peace. This tree continues to grow, and it will go on and on, as will your memory. The flags are flying high again. Exiting Elmwood, and there is a cemetery right next door called Arlington's, and there is a Civil War Medal of Honor recipient there, and we're gonna check that out. Look how close it's right here. It's almost, well, it's completely connected, and this is called Arlington. Very small cemetery, so we'll have a look-see here. We're in. Yeah, this is what we call progress, everybody. I mean, come on, look at the highway is built right on top of this. This is the Chicago Waiters Association. Look at this. George Carlson died in June of 1928. He was a waiter. And these are, that's bartenders and dispensers. A lot of them died in the early to mid 1900s. And, I mean, come on, look at this. Really? I mean, we've got a grave here. William, can't read it. William something. I mean, they didn't, his coffin is probably like right here, and they didn't give him 12 inches. Thank you, state of Illinois, for your respects to put this on-ramp here and give these people some peace. Come on. This kind of stuff really ticks me off. This is Martin Semet. He died in 28. Martin is like right, almost touching the shorings for the on-ramp. Boy, that's just shows you politicians and government at work, guys. Theodore Cramer, Theodore L. Cramer, Medal of Honor recipient. Company G188, PA Infantry, Civil War. He was born in 1847, and he died in 1910. And Theodore, he served as a private in the Union Army. And this is, you know, Illinois, this is Union Army territory. This is where Abraham Lincoln, Springfield. Yeah, Company G, 188th Pennsylvania Infantry. And he was awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions on September 29th, 1864 at Chapin's Farm, Virginia. He took one of the first prisoners who was a captain. And that's really all it says about him. But thank you for fighting for the Union and doing great things, Theodore, and may you rest in peace. Thank you for your service. Here is the family plot marker for a Clark family. And as you can see, well, I'm looking at the tombstones, and the last death was Elsie Daughter in 1944. That's a long time ago. And the trees literally just grew. There is a bench. The tree grew between the bench and the marker, and this is a forgotten family. No doubt about it. It's so sad. These people had lives. They had stories. And it's just lost to history. Like the thousands and thousands of others that have lived. Common people like you and me.